Hi, and welcome to the More to Life podcast. I am Elle Mace, and this is officially my second episode. So my podcast is going to be a variety of guest speakers. I will do the occasional long podcast when I'm talking about a specific topic or potentially like my experiences. But I'm also going to be making sure that you have lots of 10 to 15 minute short podcasts, because for me personally, I know that that's always helped me. Like, I'm a mum to 2 kids, run my own business, charging about, life is so busy. And when I want to listen to a podcast and I see that it's over an hour long, I park it and then I never get around to doing it. So I have found that when I'm in the gym, sometimes just listening to a podcast for like 10, 15 minutes while I'm on a Pacific exercise machine really helped me. So it is the 3rd of January 2023, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the all or nothing mentality. Now, and I'm talking to you about this because it is January resolutions, it is New Year, New You, New Year, all the rest of it. But what I see over and over again, and I used to see this in myself over and over again, is people will make a list of resolutions that are just too big and too long. So I was the worst for this. I remember I love January. I love new beginnings, but I would write a list of do's and don'ts and all my resolutions. And literally within a week or two, I wouldn't have been able to keep them all up because there was just too much change, too bigger resolutions when I had less time. So this year I have come up with one resolution, literally just one, and that is my morning routine. And as I was writing, my morning routine and what I wanted that to look like, I was so tempted to also write, and more water, and this and this and this. But I was like, no, I'm just going to stick to this one thing. But the all or nothing mentality just shows up so much in our lives. So if you are somebody that does struggle with food, then often people have the all or mentality mindset with food. It's very much like I'm either on a diet or I'm off a diet, or I will restrict this, this and this. And then when I do eat, I'll overeat as much food as I can, or even binge eat. It's super common. And actually it's that all or nothing mentality that is keeping you mainly stuck in that sort of diet cycle, stuck in that dietary chaos. Because it's almost, it's kind of the same as the restriction and then the binging, the feasting and then the fasting. And the more you feast, the more you restrict, the more you ultimately end up binging. But what I notice as well in my clients is that our relationship to food often mirrors our relationship to other things and people in life. So how you are with food is often the same as how you are in relationships. With spending money, with so many different things, exercise. So if you are someone who either diets or not diets, you might be someone that also exercises and doesn't exercise. With friends, it might be that you've either got loads of friends, or you go through periods of not really engaging with people. Or it's the same sort of habits and behaviors, and it seems to eke out into the rest of our lives. So if you're listening to this, have a little look at yourself. Where does your relationship with food also mirror how you are and how your relationship is with everything else? But back to the all or nothing mentality, we have to try and think, whatever we're trying to create within ourselves, can we sustain it for the rest of our lives? So if you're all or nothing, whether that's around food or money or relationships or whatever, can you be like that for the rest of your life? Can you be doing 10 things at once and then nothing because you're burnt out? Can you be on a strict diet and then have weeks or even days of binge eating? It's not healthy and it's not good for us. So really trying to find that balance is going to really help you. So New Year's resolutions, what are you doing this January, if anything? Take it as a small goal, and also make sure that you can achieve it. And the reason that I say that is not to set yourselves easy goals, but because a lot of us struggle with low self-worth. A lot of us struggle with low self-esteem. And how do you build that up? Many ways. But one way to build that up is to build up trust with ourselves. So a lot of us, we don't trust ourselves, which is really sad. If there's anyone in the world that you can trust with your whole life, it should be yourself. But we don't. And that is because often, but again, many reasons why, but one of the reasons is often because we set ourselves challenges and goals that we cannot meet. And so we remind ourselves that we're crap. I was going to swear then, but we're not good enough. We couldn't even stick to this one goal or whatever, but usually they are either unachievable or it's not aligned to us. So dieting, again, there's all these advertising that's like, try this diet. It's so simple and easy. It's so good to stick to. And then if you go and do it and kind of fail or fall off the bandwagon, your subconscious and your conscious both are going to be like, well, I've been told that's so simple and easy, but yet I can't do it. So I must be rubbish. I must have no willpower. I'm useless. And the more we say these things to ourselves, the more we become these people. So building the trust muscle is so essential for increasing your self-worth. Now, like I said at the start, I'm big all or nothing. Like if I take a course, I take 10 courses and I end up feeling overwhelmed and rubbish because I can't do them all. I can't complete them all. So even though it requires more patience, which a lot of us naturally don't have, and a lot of us have adopted that lack of patience just through life and many things. But if you are struggling with that all or nothing, just surrender to the patience. Achieve that one goal. So for me, I'm going to achieve my morning routine back again in January. Then in February, I'm going to add something else. Once I know I've proved to myself, I can commit to doing the 10-15 minutes every morning of what I need to do in my morning routine. And then I will add to it. And again, small things. The next thing, like I said, it might just be my water intake. It's not going to be hit the gym 7 days a week. Not that that's even good for you, or it's not going to be practice a language every day. Like you got to find things that are just realistic for you. So write a list of everything that you want to sort of achieve this year and do, and habits and behaviors. And then you can start to put them into places like what is a priority and what can I start to do when that has been done. But also just think about this trust thing with yourself. If you're someone that's struggling with low self-worth, think about this trust piece. So where else in your life are you breaking that trust with yourself? People pleasing. Boundaries is a big one. Have you told yourself you're not going to see somebody that makes you feel a bit crappy about yourself, and then the next day you're seeing them? You're breaking that trust muscle. It's a bit like if you were at work. Let's say you worked in a business, and there's an employee, and you've asked them to do something. Could you please do this task by tomorrow? And then they don't do it. You're going to be like, okay, that's a bit annoying. And then you'll ask them to do it again. Could you do it by the following day? And then they don't do it. You're going to be like, you're lacking in trust with them. And then say they do it a third time, you're like, no, I'm just not asking them to do anything. Like they're annoying and useless. But that's exactly the same as us. And we do that to ourselves over and over again. We tell ourselves we're going to do something and we don't. And we do it again and we don't. And we do it again and we don't. If that was somebody else, you'd give up after the second or third time, or you would have low opinion of them potentially. So that's why we're doing this to ourselves. And this is why so many of us are struggling with the low self-worth and the lack of confidence and the I can't do this. You've got to follow through on your promises, but then they also have to be realistic. So that is my official second podcast. I will be back with a guest speaker next, followed by a session for myself. If you have found this useful, please please share, please follow to help me build up my podcast, because I'm doing this because I really, really want to help others. I really want to spread the message of the low self-worth and the food piece and the positive psychology piece. So yeah, thank you so much for listening and have a fabulous day.